What is that? I think it's meant to do that. It's got a little storage thing under here. Maybe we can... Oh, fuck. It just got me in the throat. G'day guys, how are you going? Today we are reviewing the Lexus UX 200 Luxury, which is the entry level of the Lexus UX series from the brand of grills. To give you a bit of history, the Lexus UX, which by the way stands for Urban Explorer, was first announced in early 2018 to rival cars such as the BMW X2, the Mercedes GLA, the Volvo XC40 and the Audi Q3. And yes, despite being called the luxury, this is the entry level for the UX range. And today I'm going to be telling you why this is really all you need. Starting with the looks of this car, I love it, but I can definitely understand why some people won't. And that's because it looks like a samurai has come in and chopped off and hacked at parts of it and given these really bold creases, even in the plastic itself. Very creasy car and very sharp edges everywhere. But I think that really adds to the appeal of being an urban explorer, and it's something that I really, really love. But again, understand why some people don't. But still, I think that Lexus has done really, really well to create what I think is a really good flamboyant to luxury ratio. It's very aggressive in its looks, and I think that it serves a much better looking purpose anyway than if you have a look at the front of a Audi Q3 or a BMW X2. I think it looks better, but let me know what you guys think. Vote up in the poll above. What do you think looks better? This, the Volvo XC40, the Audi Q3, the BMW X2, or the Mercedes GLA? I think this, but let me know what you guys think. And you can't talk about the front of this car without looking at these samurai inspired lights. They will absolutely destroy you in a fight, by the way. They will chop off your head. But no, they do look really, really nice in my opinion, and they definitely serve a purpose at night. They are really bright and really light up the road, and it kind of adds to that luxury appeal of this car. They are good headlights. Now, the side of this car, I like it, but I also don't, and there's a big reason why I don't. It's got these huge plastic fender flares on the side. I mean, I just don't really understand why they're there. I get that it looks more crossovery, I do, but to me it kind of just screams that this is a cheaper Lexus, and they've just, as a cost-saving measure, I've put these huge plastic cladding on the side. It's just really not me. But otherwise, I really like the creases in the side. It makes this car look very samurai, and I really do like that. But I just can't get over these plastic claddings. I mean, have a look at this white colored UX. It just, you look at the contrast between it. It really just pops the plastic of the car, not the car itself. And I don't know, I'm not a fan, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think of that plastic cladding or fender flare, whatever you want to call it? Now, at the back of this car, in line with 2019 trends of adding a light bar to anything that moves, this car has one of those. But you know what? I actually really like the look of this light bar. I actually think it really complements the back of this car, and I hope to see it in future Lexuses because it will make the car just look really quite elegant, quite nice. It is a really nice sight, especially at nighttime. But then around to the back, I like it, but there's something unfinished about it. It kind of looks like one of those concept car clay things where everything's got very sharp edges, and it's just something about it looks unfinished. But overall, I think it actually looks really nice, and the front and the rear of this car are just really where the best looks are. Again, that side area is just not my thing. Now, before we go inside the car, which is where most people really care about, I want to talk about the drivetrain. So this has a 4-cylinder engine with a whopping 126 kilowatts of power and 205 newton meters of torque. This thing is by no means a speed demon, but I'll be honest with you, it is perfect for this car. It does the job very well. Now, this car also has a CVT, or continuously variable transmission. And to keep it simple, this is not the greatest transmission in the world, but it is very common in Toyota Lexus products. And to be honest, you don't really notice any of its shortfalls. Yes, it is not a fast changing transmission because it uses pulleys inside instead of actual gears, but it does the job well enough for this car. This car is meant to go from point A to point B in luxury, in comfort, in safety, and this car honestly does it. It's not trying to be a sports car, and it's not going to be a sports car, but it does the job perfectly well for those who just want to commute. So I'm actually a bit of a fan of this engine. Now, if you're trying to decide between this 4-cylinder and also the 4-cylinder with the hybrid system, I would say go with the hybrid system. And there's a reason why. This car will do 5.8 litres per 100 kilometres on average based on their kind of figures. But the hybrid will do it in 4.7 litres per 100 kilometres. And what that means is that's a 20% saving in fuel between those two figures. You also get another thing like 131 kilowatts of power up from 126 kilowatts of this engine. So you get a bit of a faster engine as well. So you get a faster engine with better fuel economy, and it only costs around $3,500, which when this car is about 49,000 Australian dollars, it's not a huge ask to spend $3,500 more and get a better engine, a better performing engine in almost every area, in my opinion. Now, I want to have a really quick chat about the interior of this car. Overall, Lexus has done a fantastic job. It is such a nice place to be. Very soft materials everywhere. The seats are super comfortable and they're not even real leather. They're a faux leather in this luxury trim, but they do the job so well, and on longer journeys, they are so fantastic. I think the one thing that takes away from this car, as many reviewers will say, is this infotainment system. It is just not good enough. It is not as good as what's in the BMW, Mercedes, Audi competitors. It's just nowhere near as good. This trackpad, while I thought I could get used to it, I'm like, I'm a millennial, I'll be able to use it. No, it's not easy to use while you're driving. It is really quite difficult. It is so easy to accidentally skip over what you're trying to press, and it's very distracting while you're driving. It's just not very good. And then they've got this weird shaped thing here which changes the media and media controller, I guess it is, but it's just, that's not intuitive either. I mean, why didn't they integrate it into that or something else? I don't know. It's just very hard to use while you're driving. It's not a great system. It does the job well enough. I haven't gotten used to it. It's been a week. I haven't gotten used to it. They really need to up their game with this system. But otherwise, it's a very nice place to be. You've got actual physical controls for the climate control. This is not something you see in many luxury cars now, and that makes a difference. It's very easy to use. This steering wheel, super comfortable. I love holding onto this steering wheel. It is nice, it is beefy. It's more of a D shape, so it feels like a sports steering wheel. It is a great steering wheel, and that is what you're holding on to most of the time. So it is something that you want to care about. The digital display, the cluster there, it's okay. It's not as good as the Mercedes or Audi. It's about on the level of BMWs at the moment. It does feel almost dated though in this 2019, 2020 kind of era of cars. It's feeling a bit dated. The graphics are good, but they're not amazing, and you don't get much information up there like you do in its competitors. So I think that there is work to be done there. But otherwise, if you just want a car that's going to get you from point A to point B, and has pretty much all the tech and safety you want, that this car really, it does it. But this infotainment, not the best. Now, the backseat of this car is actually not as bad as I thought it would be. It is quite dark in here thanks to the small dimensions of the windows and things like that. But I'm 5'11", and I've got plenty of space above my head, like plenty of space. I'm also sitting behind myself here, and there is more than enough space for me. It is a bit tight, but still plenty of space. I'd be comfortable back here on a longer journey, though anyone really over 6'1" might struggle, I reckon, back here. It would be a bit more difficult if you're sitting behind yourself, especially. But otherwise, it's actually quite comfortable. We have the usual kind of thing here where you've got the drop-down armrest with cup holders. Yeah, it's all right. We have some 2.1 amp chargers back here, which is pretty good because they provide you two. It's USB-A though, so USB-A won't be around forever. It will turn to USB-C, so maybe future-proofing yourself, you might want a USB-C, but for now, it does the job absolutely fine. I'm quite comfortable back here, to be honest. And with two adults, it's also okay. Let's quickly talk about the rear of this car. Now, it's not bad, it's just very small. Maybe that makes it very bad. I don't know. It's got a tiny little load cover as well, a little like flimsy thing. It's meant to be like that because you could store it under here where the tire repair kit is, in this little bag. Not that anyone probably ever will. It is very hard to fold up. I can't do it. Maybe other people can, I don't know. Yeah, maybe we can. Oh, fuck. It's got a flat load lip here, so it's really easy to get things in and out of. The issue is that it has almost no space back here. You might be able to get one suitcase back here. No joke, it is tiny. It is very, very small. So if you're going to be carrying a lot of things, this is not the car for you at all. Now, dropping down the seats is easy enough. You reach over there, you push that, and you just push it. Easy enough. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It's not electronic. It doesn't really need to be. This is a small car, but you know, I guess that would be a bit better. So if you need to carry longer items, you can, just not too long and not too big, because this car is not that kind of car. All right, the Lexus UX 200. Let's take it for a bit of a spin. The first thing that you notice in this car is that the brakes are really grabby. My partner has a Hyundai Veloster, and that has really grabby brakes, but holy heck, these are very grabby brakes. Something you'll get used to, but it's something that you should note as well. Now, admittedly, I'm driving around suburban areas, but this car is really comfortable. It's not the quietest car. That is something you notice as well. It's got a little 4-cylinder engine, but it makes quite a lot of racket. But it's still very, very comfortable. And something that you could just drive for days and days and days. It is a very nice place to be. So the car has this really weird thing where it will always say eco, even though you're not even in eco mode. So right now I am in normal mode, but it still says eco. And then when you turn it to eco mode, then a little eco symbol comes. Thank you. So right there was a bit of acceleration, and you can just tell that this car is not meant for straight line performance. Let's just put it that way. But it is still super comfortable and is plenty for this car. And that's what I think a lot of people, think when they see this car. They're like, 126 kilowatts of power. That is nothing. This car will not move. And yes, admittedly, it's not a sports car, but it moves. It definitely does shift. And I think that might have something to do with just the tuning of the car itself. It has really nice throttle response. The CVT is certainly not the best, but it's okay. It does the job fine. Again, a theme for this video. Does the job. It really is, it suits the purpose of this car. Now I'll put the car into sport mode. I'm turning onto a slightly less. Okay, so I think something to note is that the car makes a bit of a raucous noise, and I think that it might have something to do with sound being pumped in to the car. I'm not entirely sure, but it certainly sounds like it. The engine makes a lot of noise. The car kind of vibrates, which actually it adds to the experience, if I'm being honest with you. But it doesn't go very fast. It sounds like it's going very fast, but it's not going very fast. And that's okay. The car itself is quite a comfortable car, though I wouldn't say it is class leading by any stretch. It does not have adaptive suspension. You do feel the bumps in this car, more so than you feel it in my Ford Falcon, which is quite interesting because that is not, I wouldn't say the most comfortable car, but I don't know, it's a bit on the firmer side, which I think for a lot of people isn't the best. But it is a car that you can definitely see yourself driving longer kilometers in, and having done a few longer drives in this car, it is really comfortable. Something to note though, right now I'm averaging a 12 liters per 100 kilometer fuel economy, which is really quite awful. And I'm quite surprised. Now, it's not just my driving, it's the owner of this car's driving as well. And I'll be honest with you, despite being more on the elderly side, God, they thrashed this thing about. So yeah, that's why I kind of say go for that hybrid engine. It is going to get you much better fuel economy, especially around town where it switches on the electric mode only. I think that is going to be a better bet for most people. Having said that, if you don't want to spend the extra $3,500, you'll be more than satisfied with this engine. Just don't expect a beast. So that's it, the Lexus UX 200. It is a really good alternative to its German automotive counterparts. Does it do the job better than them? I don't know. I'm yet to drive them, so that'll be for another video. But for what it's meant for, I think it does the job really well. It gets you from point A to point B comfortably, safely, and with enough technology that you really need. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you next time. I've got some very cool cars coming up. So, see you later.